So welcome back guys to We Talk Boxing, and today I'm going to be talking about Nick Ball and his phenomenal performance last night against Ronny Rios. Now, I do believe this is the first time I'm doing a video on Nick Ball, and I got to admit I probably was slipping a little bit in terms of Nick Ball, and that's probably not because of his name, but it's more about, for me, more the weight. Now, I'm not really a fan of the lighter weights. Yes, these guys have skill, ability, etc. But just you know, what I mean, it's very rare you see a knockout or some sort of stoppages. You know, when you're watching these guys, there's only a few exceptions realistically for me. And now Nick Ball seems to be one of them exceptions. You have obviously Inoue, who is around that weight, considered to be the man, and obviously he's ranked quite highly in the Ring Magazine ratings as well. And he is one division lighter than Nick Ball, so he fights in the super bantamweight division. £122, where Nick Ball fights in the featherweight division, £126. But this was a phenomenal performance last night from Nick Ball, the Liverpudlian, and he literally from round one went toe to toe, took the fight to Ronny Rios, literally was in his face all night. Stayed on his chest, brought the fight to him, was catching him with some brilliant shots, and probably the most eye-catching shots for Nick Ball was the uppercuts that he was landing, and at times he was landing twos and threes, sometimes fours with the uppercuts. His hands were just like so fast, so electric. He did, and I know other people have said this in the past because I've watched a few interviews lately regarding Nick Ball. He did remind me of a younger Mike Tyson back in the days. Just the way that he was moving, he was coming forward, he was being aggressive. You know what I mean? He was taking that fight to Ronny Rios, and Ronny Rios was physically, when you're looking at both of these guys as well, the bigger man in the ring. He was much bigger than Nick Ball, but Nick Ball didn't care. He was like one of these young, you know what I mean, these young children in the playground who's thinking, you know what, I'm going to show this big guy what I could do, sort of thing. And he did that. He did that. He literally took it to him, bust him up, dropped him, I think, a couple of times in the fight as well. I'm sure round two, I believe, if I remember rightly. Round two, round six, or something like that. Let me check on box right now. I know it was a couple of times he dropped him before he stopped him in the 10th round. Bear with me. Yeah, so he dropped him in the third round, sorry, and the 7th round. And obviously he stopped him in the 10th. And yeah, the stoppage was about right. The guy was out. Didn't really have much more to say. His corner had to throw the towel in. And Nick Ball is the man. He is, for me, pretty much going to be touting now for the bigger fights. And he did call out. He did call out Inoue after the fight. He did also say that he wants to try and unify and clean up the division if he can. And obviously, it's it could happen. It could happen. Obviously, he's on a roll, Nick Ball. In terms of this year alone, he's had 3 fights this year alone, but in the space of 12 months, if you do 12 months to 12 months, he's had 4 fights in 12 months, and not against light opponents either. He's been in there with some tough guys, and all of the fights except the one yesterday have gone 12 rounds. Obviously, yesterday was slightly different, where he obviously knocked him out or he was stopped, I should say, TKO victory in 10th. But he's also been in there as well with one of the other champions, Ray Vargas, and that was scored a draw, and that was in March this year, and he actually dropped Vargas in the 8th and the 11th, so he was quite harshly done in terms of the scorecards being touted for a draw in that fight. And some people could controversially say that he probably should have lost or won the Raymond Ford fight as well. But yeah, some big fights there for him. He obviously wants to go after Ray Vargas next. He called him out, especially because he believes that he won that fight, and you know what I mean. He believes that that WBC title should be his. But he also, as I said, called out Inoue. And now Inoue is pretty much the man in the 122-pound division, super bantamweight division. So whether or not Inoue can move up, it's only £4. So whether or not he can move up, I certainly think he can. Maybe that could be a big fight for him as well. And I, the way I see Nick Ball's style, I actually give him a good chance in terms of the Inoue fight, because what Nick Ball loves to do, he loves to fight at range. Not too much range, but he likes to let his hands go. He doesn't really like to smother his work. And when he is up and close with the fighter, yes, he could mix it and scrap with the fighter as well. So he's good at short range, but he's better at long range, because when he could let his hands go, he mixes up his shots really well. He's throwing 1-2s, he's throwing uppercuts, hooks round the corner. He could throw with both hands, got power in both hands. So it could be a good fight for Nick Ball versus Inoue. Obviously, Inoue's got that strange power, I should say, but obviously Inoue would go into that fight being the favourite, but he would honestly, my money would be 50-50 for me in terms of that fight. But yeah, that's just my thoughts. This is the first video I've done on Nick Ball. Certainly going to watch his next performance. Obviously, I'm a fan of what I saw. I did hear the name being thrown around a couple of fights before, but didn't really take too much of a look in, because obviously, as I said, he's a lighter weight fighter. That doesn't really do anything for me. But him and Inoue now, obviously, are two people that I'm certainly going to keep an eye on. But you guys can let me know your thoughts in the comments below. How did you see this fight? Are you surprised with the performance? Or did you fully believe that Nick Ball could put on something like this? And if that fight was able to be made between Inoue and Nick Ball, how do you see this one going? Who do you consider the favourite in that fight as well? As always, let me know your thoughts and comments. Bless.